The study of global socioeconomic disparities reveals a persistent and structural divide known as the North-South divide. While the North, or center, concentrates most of the wealth and financial power, the South, or periphery, accumulates poverty, instability, and profound economic dependence. This division isn't a flaw in the system, but its very architecture. It was designed and imposed by European imperialism and colonialism, which established an international division of labor. The periphery was made to specialize in exporting raw materials and cheap labor, while the center monopolized industrial production and capital. The end of formal colonialism only gave way to neocolonialism, a system that operates today through debt, technological dependence, and corporate penetration. To understand the persistence of this structural misery, we must apply the Marxist theory of exploitation. The social problems plaguing the South are not isolated incidents, but the direct manifestation of capitalism's central mechanism, the extraction of surplus value. Surplus value is the value a worker creates beyond what's needed to pay their wage, a value the capitalist appropriates. On a global scale, the wealth of the North is built directly on this surplus value extracted from the labor force of the South. In fact, mass poverty in the periphery is the necessary condition to keep labor costs low and ensure the transfer of value to the center through global value chains. This is evidenced by the fact that the richest 10% of the world owns 76% of the total wealth, a gap that widens with each production cycle. Global inequality manifests as a class struggle organized around the control of the means of production. On one side, we have the global proletariat, the vast populations of the global South forced to sell their labor in deregulated markets, seeking to escape poverty through migration or precarious work. On the other side is the transnational plutocracy and the bourgeoisie, the owners of large corporations and financial capital who dictate the rules of the game. The system is structured to operate in the interest of the rich. Monopolistic capitalism allows a few companies, through the control of oligopolies, to dictate global prices and wages, maximizing their profits and centralizing power in a global ruling class. The persistence of this structure requires ideological justification. The media, as part of the superstructure, promote narratives that divert criticism from the system. They do this through an individualistic framework, promoting entrepreneurship or social mobility as the solution, which generates a false consciousness. The message is clear: if you are poor, it's your fault for not trying hard enough. Not because the system is designed to exploit you. This narrative atomizes social movements and neutralizes any collective challenge to the status quo. Instead of questioning the system, the exploited are encouraged to compete against each other for the crumbs that fall from the table of the powerful. Meanwhile, the economic policies imposed by international institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, under the dogma of neoliberalism, reinforce this dynamic. Structural adjustment programs, privatization of public services, and trade liberalization have dismantled the developmental states in the South, leaving their economies at the mercy of transnational capital. These policies, presented as a path to development, are in reality a mechanism to deepen dependency and facilitate the extraction of wealth. The debt accumulated by these countries becomes a perpetual chain, forcing them to orient their economies towards exports and austerity, further benefiting the financial centers of the North. The consequences of this global architecture are devastating. We see it in forced migration, where millions flee poverty and violence created by the system. We see it in environmental degradation, as the South's natural resources are plundered to fuel consumption in the North. We see it in the systematic violation of labor rights, where workers endure inhumane conditions for poverty wages. It's a system that privatizes profits and socializes losses on a planetary scale. The wealth of a few is directly proportional to the dispossession of the many. So, what is the alternative? A genuine solution requires a radical break with the logic of monopolistic capitalism. It means building solidarity between the working classes of the North and South, recognizing that their struggles are interconnected. It involves reclaiming national sovereignty, delinking from the imperialist financial system, and constructing an economy centered on human needs, not on profit accumulation. It demands a new international economic order based on cooperation and justice, not competition and exploitation. The challenge is immense, but understanding the true architecture of inequality is the first and most crucial step toward dismantling it. Thanks for watching. If this analysis was valuable to you, consider subscribing for more content that questions the world we live in.